I just tried it on again this morning and oh my gosh, it's so cute for how little time that took to make.
And here you can see me explaining that to the camera, but I forgot to turn my mic on, so it's just silence. This was just one of those weeks, you know?
So, Pat McGrath's glass skin porcelain doll makeup look has taken the internet by storm, rightfully so. She is incredibly talented, and several people have already been talking about how historically inspired Maison Margiela's? I looked it up to make sure I'm saying it right, but now I'm like second guessing myself. How historically accurate Maison Margiela's 2024 spring collection is. And I immediately noticed that too when I saw it. And so I want to make an outfit that is inspired by this collection, specifically this part of the collection, these few pictures that I found. Because this striped blue fabric that you see here, I found a very similar gray version a few months ago. I think it was an old bed sheet. In fact, I think it had actually been used as a tarp at one point because there's paint stains on it. But what doesn't have paint stains on it is just this very tiny gray and white stripe. And I've been looking for something to use it for, and I think this is perfect. I also found some sheer curtains that I think would be perfect for this kind of petticoat looking skirt, which I think would actually make a good real petticoat. Just to let everyone know, I'm not trying to copy or take away from the very talented people that worked on this collection. This is just more serving as an homage to how much I really adored this entire collection. It's gorgeous from the pictures that I saw, and I felt very inspired by it, and who doesn't love more corsets, especially me? There's never enough in my book. So for the next few weeks, actually it's been going on for the past few weeks and will be going on for the next few weeks as well. I'll be posting once a week. I just kind of had a surge of doing things and making things, and I didn't really want to keep it on my camera and computer, but I thought it'd be a nice opportunity to just remind you that if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. It really helps me out. You support the channel and make sure that I can ensure that I keep putting out free content for you guys. I kind of hate doing that, but thank you so much. If you have subscribed, thank you. But now let me show you how I made this corset skirt set.
So I started with the skirt and I had two smaller curtains to work from. I wanted to do a simpler version of this design because honestly I didn't know if I had the brain space to figure it out even on a good day. Because as I will come to realize, but not until the end of this project, I was actually quite under the weather this entire time that I was working on this project. As you can see here, I'm taking the A-line skirt panel that I use for pretty much everything and shortening it quite a bit. I think I made it about 13 inches long, which was going to be the top part of the skirt. With the rest of the fabric, I just cut out long rectangles, which honestly, the perfect length was just half the width of the curtain, and I used the finished edges of the curtain as my finished hem for my skirt. Since the hip section of the skirt was going to end up being a straight line, I didn't have to wait until the end to hem, and this saved me so much time. I then started putting that hip section together, making French seams, which just as a quick reminder, if you don't know, is when you do a smaller seam with the fabric facing wrong side to wrong side, turn and pin it over where the fabric is facing right to right side, and stitch a slightly larger seam allowance. This is a great way to finish off your seams if you have a particularly difficult fabric and don't have a serger. I kept my back seam open and added a ribbon basically as a bias tape to make it look a bit more finished. I also used that ribbon to flatline the waistband, which was also just the top of the curtain where the curtain rod would fit through. It's just like the perfect width for a waistband. I then attached the waistband to the upper section of the skirt. I then sewed all of those rectangular pieces together. I did that little elastic trick to make gathering super easy and attached the top and bottom skirt pieces together. I finished the skirt by making the ribbon into a tab that would close with a button in the back because, as always, I avoid buttonholes.
Okay, listen, it's just gonna be a lazy week for me doing this at all. I'm patting myself on the back. I really just wanna sit around and do nothing this week. But creating is good for the brain. So the skirt is done. I just tried it on again this morning and oh my gosh, it's so cute for how little time that took to make. And yes, there's unfinished seams, but that's always gonna be the way it is. Ollie, can you stop? No, he can't, hold on. I'm gonna get ya, you better run. Where was I? So, for the corset, I'm using a pattern that I haven't used in a very long time, and I've actually never just used this pattern. I used it as like a basis to make another pattern off of. I remember a lot of the reviews saying that the hips were like way too big for people, which is perfect for me. We're gonna expand them even more because they definitely got that, like, I wanna say it's late Victorian, where they just really exaggerated that hip curve and they probably would stuff some stuff into it as well. So I'm gonna exaggerate these hip lines even more, maybe put a little bit of extra like stuffing in there or something, not quite sure what I'm gonna do as of yet. Let me pin everything, all the pieces. In fact, I don't even know how I did this pattern correctly because I literally just cut out a piece that I had completely forgotten about. So who knows how I got this to fit correctly the first time around, but again, I did change that pattern a lot, so here we go.
I added a bit of extra fabric to every piece because it's better to start off too large than too small. I didn't end up needing the extra fabric, but if you're like me and hate doing mock-ups, this is the best way to ensure a good fit. And below the waist of each pattern piece, I expanded the piece by at least an inch on each side to make those exaggerated hips. I also cut out 4 pieces, 2 for the outer layer and 2 for a lining. Since I was working with a very thin fabric, I knew I needed 2 layers of interfacing to make it much more stable. Lastly, for the day, I started putting the outer layer together and the lining layer together.
Okay, so everything is going along quite swimmingly, but I wanted to show a couple of new things. Well, not necessarily new to me, but like new to the videos I make. The first thing is getting the fancy lacings, or at least I call them the fancy lacings. I used to work with these in college. A couple of times that I had to make like a bone bodice, and the one time I made a corset. I worked with this both times. And the second thing I'm gonna try on this video is a different kind of lacing. I'm using, hold on, these little shoelace, like D-rings. I don't know if you can like really see that, hold on. Like that. And you kind of have to hammer them in, and I wonder if this would be, I mean, I know this is probably gonna be faster, and I won't do it all the time. It's a little too like utilitarian for what I usually like. I think it works with this look though, but for now, I'll move on to the next step, which is putting the like outer shell layer and the lining layer together.
And then I started sewing the boning channels. I realized that at some point the outer layer and lining layer were quite different in fit, and it was causing weird bunching as I was making the boning channels. And here you can see me explaining that to the camera, but I forgot to turn my mic on, so it's just silence. This was just one of those weeks, you know? As far as the fit of the lining and the outer shell, the only excuse I have is that I was sick, because I have no clue how they turned out so differently. I redid a few seams, but it only made things marginally better, so while this corset looks fine from the outside, it does look pretty rough on the inside. So for the boning, I started off by trying to cut these, and you can watch me struggle for a bit here. But eventually I remembered that they had to kind of snap on itself instead of being cut. And then I put them all in their appropriate lengths. I then realized that I could just make a quick hip/bum pad to add a little bit more drama to this corset. So I cut out a fisheye shape, sewed it along one side, added elastic, and stuffed it. I then marked where my D-rings were going to go, punched through with an awl, slotted the pieces of the ring together, and hammered it in. This was so easy, and I quickly realized I could just use a hammer for a little bit of a nicer finish. At the last minute, I decided I wanted to try my own version of Pat McGrath's makeup with bio oil instead of a face mask because I didn't have the face mask, and no talent with makeup instead of years of experience and natural talent. It did not go well, and the bio oil was disintegrating the makeup, but I tried my best. And now it's time to see the final result. Literally already recorded this outro and it was blurry the entire time. This video, I've been on too good of a lucky streak. I've had so many videos where like minimal or almost no issues have arisen, and I think it was just time. Overall though, very happy with the way it looks from the outside. There is one boning channel that like popped open. I didn't notice it until like 2 seconds ago. There's a ton of issues. Inside, she's only pretty on the outside. I think for stripes, it didn't really matter if it was pattern match, which I really like. I think it looks cool. I bought this shirt hoping that it would kind of bring out or like bring in the blue tones that are in the original collection. Hopefully it was successful. I think it's a cute top. I will definitely wear the skirt both over and under things. I kind of want to style it with a modern outfit. The skirt is great. The skirt I have absolutely no complaints about. I do think I'm gonna have issues when I wash it, but other than that, pretty happy. These D-rings I will definitely not be using again. It pulls up
the bottom and it doesn't lace equally. It just immediately falls out when you try to tighten it, which I knew that might happen, but I wanted to try it anyway. While I was kind of playing around though, I kind of figured out that I liked this like ribbon around the waist. I think that looks very cool, and I didn't have to sew it on. Yay! Thank you so much for watching. If you had a good time, be sure to like and subscribe, all that good stuff, and I hope to see you back here next time. Okay, we're done.
Bye! Oh, she's such a good boy. Good job.